All right, gentlemen, the 37th episode of the IGC podcast. This is the podcast for mature adults. We joke around, play video games, we curse, we get rowdy, we have a good time doing it. We are now also simulcasting this on Twitch as well as our TeamSpeak channel. And that's at twitch.tv/GreyJorildyn, GreyJorildyn. Please go there and you can listen to us if you want to. So, I guess we'd call this a skeleton crew today, right? Because we're a man short, more or less, from what we usually are. And it's Naughty. Naughty is not here. Maybe he will be here in a little bit. As usual, I'm your host, GreyJorildyn. And with us today are some of the usuals. First up is AI Monster is here.
As always.
Covering everything in gaming and President Ouya, right? Now, are you okay with that particular title? Because some people tell me it's derogatory.
I'm not a weebo. I mean, I just play Japanese games.
Oh, right.
I know a little bit Japanese.
See, the thing is, most people on the outside don't know the difference between those two things. You go, who's just the guy who plays Japanese games and who's the weeaboo or whatever?
Well,
you know?
I'm not like cosplaying while I'm playing it, so they're different degrees. Maybe minor weebo.
But we don't know that because you could be sitting there like in like a hot like schoolgirl costume, not implying that it would look hot on you. Just that would be the purpose of, you know what I'm saying.
So that's your fantasy?
It's not my fantasy. I'm just listen. I'm doing the whole webcam thing, but maybe one day.
We should move on here.
Okay, let's move on. So also with us today is Papa's back. He missed last week, but he's back today.
Yep, work sucks.
Work does suck.
But I got it this time. Maybe even 2 weeks from now. Not sure yet.
Okay, great. Well, I guess we'll find out. Then we'll have to get someone to cover for you. Last week I don't think anyone covered for you, but Seifer was here, so that was good. So, last but certainly not least, our resident curmudgeon here, Seifer is with us today.
Yes, but of course.
We're going to talk a little bit about Konami again today, I suppose, since they just couldn't stay out of the news this past week. But before we get to that, let's start with the big controversy. So this past, not this past week, because this past week they reversed it, but 2 Thursdays ago, and I'll try to give you guys a date here so we can kind of align ourselves with it. I think it was the April 23rd. Steam opened the door for paid mods on the Steam Workshop, specifically for Skyrim. And I guess Valve and Bethesda thought this was going to be a fantastic fucking idea to just take a game that's already almost 4 years old and that has a huge mod community, 26,000 plus mods I think on it, from all sides, small to big mods, and just say let's just open the door and we'll put this pretty much set, like Valve will get 30%, Bethesda will get 45%. This was apparently determined by the publisher, and then the mod developer will get the rest. And it caused a complete shitstorm in the community. So I'm assuming you guys know lots about this because it was popping up on every newsfeed imaginable. So what went wrong here?
Everything that could go wrong.
Everything that could go wrong, yes.
The creator getting 25% was a big thing.
And only after they made, I believe it was 400 in sales. I don't know if that number was quoted exact, but you had to make a fair amount of sales before you got your 25% as well. So that wasn't cool. Another thing was the modders lost their rights after they uploaded their mod to the paid workshop. There's no guarantee that the stuff wouldn't break games, and actually that was another big thing people complained about a lot was corrupted save files that they lost. Their hundreds of hours of Skyrim, and it's not so much they lost the $5 or $10, but they lost literally 4 years worth of gameplay, and so that would piss me off pretty good too.
I mean, that's kind of like a risky take when you install a modern game anyway. Like some of them are not going to be compatible with game saves, and when they're not, there's going to be shit that breaks, and a lot of modders actually have, here comes Naughty's, actually have a disclaimer in some mods where they're like, hey, this shit's going to break, possibly break your save, that's on you, on the user's discretion to add that particular mod, because it may break shit. I mean, I'm not going crazy about that, but I think, it's a problem. Like the bigger issue is, when a mod stops working that you paid for, because the game gets updated, like, do you get a fucking refund? Like, there's no guarantee that the modder is actually going to update their mod, like, at any given time, right?
Right.
Does
Even
anyone
if you did
agree?
get a refund, it would be in Steam dollars, not your money back.
Naughtius is here. Thank you, Naughtius, for...
Yeah, and what happens when you have two mods that you purchase that conflict with each other, and then you can
that's
just
another
automatically not
issue.
use one?
It actually
And
happened.
people were stealing other people's assets from different mods, and there was a whole bunch of legal issues, and it was a big mess. But does anyone think this would? I personally think this would be a good idea if it was done well. But this was the poorest way possible to do it.
I think done properly with, a good approach and starting with, a fresh game, it could work. I mean, we've said time and time again on the tabletop nights, man, I wish, the actual creators of these games could find a way to, get their game in a tabletop simulator and monetize it and, reap some benefits.
Yeah,
But with the current system, I can understand completely why they are staying away from that.
Yeah, I think the fresh game thing is a good point too, because if we're talking about a game that was before you came in, Naughty said it has like 26,000 something on mods, maybe more. I haven't looked in a couple of days, but it kind of sucked because people expected that things are free up to this point. That's what the PC gaming community has always been about, with the exception of the subscription model over at Nexus, which paywalls a few big ass mods, which are understandable, but like. To throw it in an already established game that has a way that modders have been doing things for a while was just kind of like stirring the pot in the other direction. It's like your toilet started swirling the other way one day. It seems really stupid.
And 75% they take. I mean, well, it's 30% to Valve and 45% to Bethesda. Apparently.
Well, that was Bethesda's call,
Yeah, but that's no.
Bethesda
Well,
can say
Valve's
they
call
want
was
0.
30%. I mean,
Right,
that's
Valve's
too
taking
much.
30% regardless, but then Bethesda's coming in and saying, "Oh, we're also taking 45." I mean, any other developer or publisher could say, "Well, we're going to take 0."
I don't expect Valve to not take a percentage. I mean, they could take 5-10%. Same with Bethesda. I think they should take a percentage too. But again, it should be 10-15%. A little bit more for the actual developer of the game.
Well, I am late to the end. Did you mention the final caveat to the pay model is that the developer of the mod only gets paid if the mod
I
sells
mentioned
$400
that.
worth.
Yeah, right before you came in.
So most of the modders aren't even going to get paid.
Is that $400 with the 25%, or is that $400 for the total?
I presume in raw sales.
I would think in total sales, yeah. They're really, I mean, if you're sitting in Valve's war room, Wednesday night or whatever fucking day they decided this, like, how does the conversation miss so many things like, well, what if people steal free assets and put them in a paid mod, and what if a mod breaks, and what's the percentage is really shitty? Like, how do you come to a decision that this is a good idea, like enough to be like, let's roll it out live without testing it on a goddamn thing?
Have you seen Greenlight? This is Valve.
Listen, I know.
Look at the games we have on Steam. I can't even look at the fucking store anymore because every single goddamn game, every RPG Maker game is on there. Every fucking visual novel done on Rent Pie or whatever the hell it's called is on there. All these throwaway Unity games that just use Unity assets all over the place are on there, and it's like I can't even figure out what game. I used to be able to go on Steam and say, hey, all these games are pretty good quality. I could buy a game and I could probably feel happy about that purchase. Now it's just like, okay, I'm just flooded with all this shit. I'm trying to find a specific game.
Well, you're talking about a systemic issue, like Valve's general, laissez-faire way of handling things that they should probably be more involved in, like Steam Greenlight and scanning the games that are on there, and the mod workshop in general, and this particular topic where they shouldn't just be like, oh yeah, you can just, not only can you throw up a mod, were you able to throw up a mod in there and basically set any price for it, but there was no like sort of measuring stick for like how much is a mod worth, and all this sort of shit. It was just like whatever you set it at, this is there. I think Jim Sterling in one of his videos had that there was a Skyrim mod where it added like balls to your horse and it was like $99. Like, who the fuck in their right mind would pay $99 for that? Who the fuck would price it at $99?
Well, it was a joke, but I mean, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, but it's just like it shows that you could have done anything. Like, it was to the point where there was no oversight whatsoever. People were just able to do whatever the hell they wanted, just like Steam Greenlight. And obviously, they reversed this decision. So let's talk about that.
I'm sorry, but not putting up a putting something up on your digital store does not entitle you 30% of the profit. You got to do some quality control too.
I completely agree, because all they're providing is like web space at that point, right? They're saying we're giving you an ability to have a client and easy access to a game, and that's already on our particular system, and we're getting 30% just for, basically doing shit that we already do, like that we've been doing.
Sales, basically.
Yes.
They're charging 30% for.
Like, that's a crazy tax. Like, that is a big cut, man.
That's worse than New York State taxes.
That is-
That's some of the worst
Yeah.
in the country. Like, damn.
It's the Gabe N tax. All right, so they reversed this, right? And Gabe did an AMA, and they talked. Now, what were some of the finer points that were worth highlighting, nowadays? Because there was so much to go through.
It's like we didn't do
Really,
anything wrong.
These are one of those situations where they probably should have had like a public affairs person working with Gabe on this one. It was pretty clear it was just Gabe fielding questions, and he was out of the loop, and there were no real concrete answers. So people are bringing up these serious concerns about the system, and they just had no legitimate response. It's like you mentioned before, it's like with Valve's very flat structure, there never was an opportunity for anybody to really put the brakes on this thing. If some people thought it was a good idea, and they formed their little cadre as they do and made it happen, and it got out there, and it was bad.
Yeah, bad seems like an understatement, but yeah, bad indeed. I'm assuming you guys didn't actually pay for any mods in that 4-day span, right?
God,
I am now
no.
sporting some horse balls, but aside from that, I did not
Okay.
purchase any mods. I would not purchase mods. I would not, unless it is like an official mod, like somebody is officially bringing in a game to like Tabletop Simulator. And
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's people out there who don't want their game on tabletop, like Steve Jackson Games, the creator of Munchkin. This is a game that would be fucking amazing on Tabletop Simulator, and obviously the mod is out there. It's on Nexus Mod. You can still get it if you have a copy of it. He's DMCing the shit out of it. But there are some people who make games like for Tabletop Simulator that don't want it out there, And it begs the question: right now, we've been getting mods for free on PC. That's what we're used to. That's what we like. We've come. It's been like that for 15 years, if not more. Don't we sort of also feel like modders sort of have a right to make something off their mod? I mean, whether it be through Nexus Mods or Steam Greenlight or Steam Workshop or something else, like some of them put a lot of time into making these mods, right?
Sure, but it's a huge gray area, because one, on the very high end mods, the total conversions, and the very large mods, you still have to remember they're creating a lot of custom content themselves. They're creating models and textures, and often building maps and assets. But ultimately, they're sourcing off the assets already in the game. Those belong to the developer and the publisher.
Yeah.
So for them to directly monetize the mod is basically playing into a situation where modders were using other modders' mods. Except now you're using the developers and the publishers' mods, and they're going to want some money for that.
I mean, go ahead.
Here's my worry. My big worry is I absolutely want, like Nadia said, the total conversion mods and people who spend all those times on mods to get compensated for it. I absolutely want that, but I'm worried now that this happened, developers are going to specifically make their game to be modded, sometimes at the cost of quality, and now all these games are going to try to get revenue from mods. It's going to be the new DLC, and there's going to be just nothing but shit on there, and just you don't have to program a good UI anymore, because hey, you could have a modder take the money anyway. They'll fix the UI for you, and then you get paid for a broken UI
I mean, I would hope that
that was fixed by somebody else.
I would hope that devs don't think that way, because their games are not coming out just exclusively on PC. At least not the big games where people generally would be like, "Hey, this is a big mod scene." With exception, obviously, City Skylines, right? It's PC exclusive. It has a big mod community. Divinity: Original Sin, other games like that, Pillars of Eternity, games that have mod support or are built for mod support. But we also know about the story like the DS fix for Dark Souls, right? I mean, that was a big mod where people would have paid that guy probably $5 to fix the game if he was charging.
But I mean, what makes you think, one, the developers aren't going to look at this and try to monetize it? I mean, they just love monetizing everything. And two, it's not going to be specific to PC. I mean, you could mod on a PS4 and a...
Yeah, but it's not as accessible. You know, like Steam gives you the platform to do it.
But if they start, if these developers start making sandbox like games where you can mod it through in the game itself instead of doing coding and all that, it's going to be plenty accessible, and that's what's going to happen in the future. That's what I'm worried about, and this is a bad direction for games to go in.
Yeah, no, I can see what you mean by that. I mean, I think this, though, that, if you make a bad game, people are going to point it out to you. I know that it's not, most people don't really care, right? But, I mean, look at what happened to Ubisoft last year. As they had a really bad fall and a bad year, right? But people recognized that that was going poorly, and I don't think that if mods had come out to fix that game, they necessarily would have been, that Ubisoft would have been like, well, we're still not going to fix our game. Like, there's a line in the sand where you have to do enough to preserve your reputation in the industry, and not rely on modders solely to fix your shit. Like, I know it sounds to me like it's an extreme discussion point. People are like, well, they could just put out broken games and modders will fix it because we can't charge for mods. Or, if they are charging for mods, well, the publisher's getting 45% or whatever percentage they set for those people to fix their game for them, and it's kind of double dipping. Like, yeah, I get all that, but is that realistic? Could that realistically happen? I mean, let's just take a step back from the extreme thought and say, could that be a real thing? Would that happen?
I
Let's look at
absolutely
where it's
think
been
so.
done successfully. Okay, so Team Fortress 2 basically it started off the whole paid mods thing. They allowed people on the Steam Workshop to create content and assets for Team Fortress 2, and mostly hats. And there came a point where so many people were buying this user-created content for Team Fortress 2, they were making more money off the workshop for Team Fortress 2 than they were through the sales of the game. So Valve, being pretty astute to that situation, they went ahead and made Team Fortress 2 free, and that was a huge benefit. Now that's a rare case where this model can work well, but if other publishers and developers are looking at a similar model, I think it could work equally well for them.
Yeah, and one thing that needs to be pointed out too is that all the Valve games that are on Steam, they all have a paid mod workshop, don't they? This was the first third-party publisher that's on Steam platform to have this, right?
Right, and this was their test run.
Poorly done.
I mean, Greg, do you really think it's that extreme of a viewpoint? I mean,
I do.
10 years ago, we would have said the same thing about on this DLC. I mean,
I do, and for one reason. The indies are pushing the shit of AAA, pushing AAA shit in right now. Like, they're up and coming to the point where indies are probably going to become the new AA, AAA, whatever the fuck games you want to call them. And there are big companies out there that realize that they're losing ground on certain indie developers. I mean, look at Telltale, right? I agreed with you. I disagreed with you last year that Telltale was considered an indie. You said it wasn't. I said it was. Now I completely agree with you. They are a 300-person studio. They're no longer indie. They're not 8 guys in a garage making games, or 12 people or 20 people or relatively small. They're big now. They are a AAA company as far as I'm concerned, and I see your point on that. I don't think that they would ever say, or any big publisher, unless they were fucking to the point where like they don't think their shit doesn't stink or no one can overcome them. EA perhaps. Where they would just put out a shitty title on every platform and just say, fuck it, let the modders fix it, and we're also going to charge for mods, so they'll fix it and pay us. I don't see it happening.
I mean, aside from Minecraft, though, what indie developer has been as successful as a AAA game? I mean, they're still selling millions and millions of copies, no matter how bad a game they release is. No matter how much DLC bullshit. We just had Mortal Kombat X release with tons of DLC. We had Assassin's Creed Uni release last year, and that sold tons of copies, even though it was a completely shit broken game.
Well, because that goes into the whole shovelware discussion, right? That we're going to have someday at some point. Yes, but like I said, I think there's a line drawn. Some companies think that they're high and mighty and that nothing will ever make them fall. but enough mistakes will cause you to trip down the stairs eventually, and people will surpass you. And I don't think they're going to be. I think if Ubisoft learned anything, this after all that debacle they had last year, it was lay low, because they have not been in the news in what, 3 months, 4 months since that all happened, and just make sure that your QA department is firing on all cylinders this year, because you cannot afford to fuck up again. If you put out another broken game, mod support or not, people are not going to get behind it anymore. They're going to say, listen, we were okay with recycling mechanics for the past like 6 years. We're not okay with you putting out 2 bad Assassin's Creed games in a row. That people are going to be fed up with that point.
I disagree. I think people are still going to buy Assassin's Creed, no matter how bad it is.
You're probably right.
And
Right.
It's you're looking at it way too optimistically. Usually, I mean, I'm not usually that pessimistic, but I don't see this heading in a good direction.
No, but I am being
Steam
optimistic.
stuff.
Because I feel like people should try to inform themselves as consumers, and I know that they don't do that. It's kind of getting off topic, but there's going to be a point in time where people will be like, bro, don't buy that game anymore, because fuck it, same shit every year. Obviously, sports games are the same shit every year. People still buy those, so what the fuck do I know? Anyway, is there anything else, any other feelings in the room about, this topic? Or can we talk about the other bullshit that Valve did?
Yeah, I guess my argument here is this is something that's going to happen. It's already happening. We know that they're probably working with other publishers and developers to adopt a paid mod system. You've got games like Star Citizen, which have from the very beginning said they're going to have a paid user content.
Fuck, he said Star Citizen.
He said the name.
Fuck.
Oh god.
So a lot of us, The Sims, very popular series. They sell tens of millions of copies of that thing. Huge, user-created content, a system around that. It's all free, but many of us were absolutely shocked when The Sims 4 came out that EA had not adopted some type of Steam Workshop system where users could create content within with a good set of mod tools and sell that to other Sims players. So. Just because they missed that opportunity there doesn't mean it's something that can't happen in the future, and I think it probably will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Paid mods are in our future, one way or the other, so let's hope Steam starts to get their shit together and get it right.
They're in our present. I mean, it's just not as, prolific or around as much as, people think it is, because most mods are pretty small. Well, we think of things like hats. Yeah, hats or new guns, or occasionally someone will go all out and do like, here's a whole new adventure, like that guy did for Skyrim when he created. Now he's working at Bungie, or he was last we heard.
Or taking that game and turning it into an entire new game.
Right, which created Dota, right?
Right, or
so
TF2, pretty much half
TF2,
of Steam's
Counter-Strike.
library.
Basically, most of Valve's product library.
Yeah,
all
basically.
Total conversions at some point.
Wow.
I think my final words for this are, remember when we did the 2014 awards podcast and Audience surprised us all with a Valve as worst company of the year? He has the future sight. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, they deserve it that year, but they might deserve it this year.
But yeah, time will tell. There's some other contenders we're going to talk about a little later.
Yes.
They would have to beat a certain contender.
This is the turning point month, right? This is like the end of first quarter. We're hearing a lot of bullshit going on. Okay, so Valve also recently gave game developers the power to issue Steam bans for cheaters on.
It's important to note that is for the developer's game only. They can't back ban somebody.
Right. So if you are cheating in GTA, Rockstar can ban you for playing their game through Steam. Correct?
Or they could just ban you if you gave the game a bad review.
Right, and that's.
Can they do that? Really?
No fear.
Ah.
Why couldn't they? They have the power now. There's no moderation again on Valve's part, so.
So we're going back to the systemic
Valve
issue.
is a lazy developer. Lazy developer, publisher, whatever you want to call them. They're just lazy, and they like to make money.
Well,
Valve's,
they like to have
this
these
is Valve
features.
saying they're not wanting to be the police for all of these games. But they've got a lot of indie titles coming up that utilize Steamworks, and they can't expect the VAC system to catch everybody. So they're giving the developers / publishers the ability to ban people from either the entire game or just the multiplayer only. It's difficult to tell at this point.
So, have any of us experienced this?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So what we're worried about is the precedent that the wording of this whole thing sets. Then, right? Like, you can just get banned for no good reason. I mean, what about the big critics out there like TV, Sterling, Boogie, the guys who occasionally do some pretty critical reviews of games to outright say they suck because sometimes there's games that suck. Not every game that gets made is good. Steam Workshop, Steam Greenlight is a testament to that, right?
Sterling has had issues with a lot of these indie developers that develop Unity games, and he plays shitty games for his channel.
Yeah.
And the developers try to attack him. They hit him with copyright flags on YouTube and all other sorts of things, nasty stuff. Total Biscuit has had issues with them, and yeah, there's definitely going to be some of that, and they're just going to be able to say, "Hey, you can't play my game at all now." Which
Yeah, with how prevalent
deal,
censorship is getting now, I mean, this is not a good idea.
It's becoming like Big Brother shit.
It is worth mentioning. I mean, this is something that publishers and developers who use their own multiplayer authentication have always had the ability to do. So it's, in another sense, it's just being extended to more indie games that are relying on Steamworks for their multiplayer.
Yeah, this isn't really an issue with AAA developers, because a AAA developer knows better than to try to, well, unless you're Japanese, knows better than to try to silence critics, but...
I would hope so.
Wasn't EA banning people too for...
No.
I think they were for some multiplayer and like Mass Effect.
Konami was, I think Capcom was doing shit like that.
Fucking Capcom. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Square Enix does. They issue copyright flags on videos that are critical of their game.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said before, indies have done that to the critics out there as well. But now this is on Steam, right? This is the actual platform where they have almost a social media type presence within their own platform where you looking through a game and there's the top critic comments are on there, or if you look in like your history of what your friends are playing, you see the top rated comments coming up, much like Reddit. And who can really afford to ban these people for saying bad shit? Like, is it just the casual players they would get rid of? They wouldn't get rid of the big critics, or what if they did attack a big critic?
They'll attack big critics.
So, some quick Google foo has led some credence to my previous argument. It was Mass Effect 3. They were banning players, and the EA and BioWare forums for criticizing the ending of Mass Effect 3, which also led to their inability to play the game multiplayer. Or any EA game multiplayer, for that matter. So the precedence is there. I mean, this has happened before. I'm fairly certain it's going to happen again.
EA's equivalent to a Japanese developer.
So there hasn't been any big news on this particular front, though, right? I mean, there hasn't been like a big blow up yet.
Not recently.
Not recently, but since Steam put this in, this is only a couple days old. All right.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too long.
So we're gonna earmark this and be like, we're gonna revisit this topic when something really bad happens to somebody out there, because it is bound to happen. Someone will say the wrong thing, and the whole shitstorm will blow up.
I don't even think it's going to be that bad. It's just going to be an issue where they ban a critic, and then they're just going to look completely bad. But the game was already bad to begin with. Nobody was buying it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But yeah, how far is the stretch? How far is the stretch when you come up against say extremely progressive quote developers who find out you have a Steam group with Gamergate and they just ban you because of that? I mean, how long does it take? I mean, how long is it going to be until shit like that happens?
Depends if death threats are included.
Yeah.
Sorts of things like that, I would suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like...
Not even death threats, just association. They've been known to do that shit over and over.
Like, Valve needs to implement, or create a team, rather, like, that has oversight for all the little programs that they have going on. Obviously, Steam Workshop is going to, or Greenlight is going to require a huge team to do that. But for stuff like this, like, there should be some kind of appeal process involved, right? I mean, through the platform, they should guarantee something to the people that are doing this. That, hey, if a developer bans you, you can appeal it, and we'll do what we can. But if they're giving carte blanche to developers, I guess they're kind of being that hands off about it. I mean, I can't think of a good solution to this right now.
No, it's always a good idea to have a third party that's neutral decide bans like that.
Yeah, if they wanted to, if Valve wanted to actually spend some effort into this, but again, they want to be as lazy as possible. They wanted to put effort into it. They could say that, hey, if you issued bans that were proven, if you're proven to like issue bans for like targeting specific groups of people or trying to silence criticism, then hey, we're banning you from Steam.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree. I think what you said is right, Zephyr, that they need a impartial third party, but Valve is not that impartial third party because they're getting money for the sale of that game, and they don't want people coming in with the feeling of, well, fucking 2K bans me all the time. I'm not going to buy any more 2 games from you. I'll buy them on, GMG or something. Like, I don't know how impartial they can really be because they get a cut of every sale they make, and I don't know.
You buy it from a third party like GMG.
Yeah, but that's just the nature of being the host.
And the game still activates on Steam, like many of them do, and it's using Steamworks. You're still tied into that system.
I agree. Yeah, they are like a licensed dealer or whatever, an official dealer. I just don't know how impartial they can be.
Can we all go hide in like a bunker for 20 years?
Be a lot more neutral than the developer themselves.
They would be. You're right. In terms of how close they are to the situation, they should be more distant than that. They also want to represent their customer positively.
Let all this shit blow over. Hope it
from the bunker we're living in underground.
Yeah, hope it all just goes away and come back 20 years, see what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
All in all, vague censorship is bad.
Can't argue with that. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Konami because this is the other big thing in the news. All right, so Silent Hills has been officially canceled. Someone got a hold of Guillermo at some con, and he confirmed that the game was no longer being made, and Norman Reedus confirmed it on Twitter. It's not happening. The whole business with Kojima, who the fuck knows what's going on. But, hell, that sucks. I mean, what's going to happen with the Silent Hill IP now? Is Konami just going to sit on it, or whatever?
They're still going to... Apparently, they want to still use the IP, but then again, there's rumors that Konami's trying to get out of the console business altogether, so PC console business altogether, and just focus on mobile and gambling.
They delisted themselves from the New York Stock Exchange, so
yeah.
It sounds like to me they want to get the hell out completely.
Yeah, this was an odd move. So I mean, they obviously put a lot of time and effort and resources into putting, an initial development team together and getting out, the Silent Hills PT demo, as they called it, and it was extremely well received. A lot of people were looking forward to this. It looked like, people were pretty happy the series was going in the direction everybody wanted to see it go. The tech behind it was very impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very expensive. $20 million to develop their Fox engine, and they only have Metal Gear 5 planned to be running with it. They had Silent Hill planned, but now they're not going to be doing that.
Well, this goes right back to the Kojima thing, right? Like, the guy asks for a lot of fucking money, and we talked last time before we knew this was official, although it was rumored, that maybe he asks for too much cash up front to do these games, and Konami at some point is like, we can just invest our money in pachinko gambling machines, and we're good. We'll just throw like the Metal Gear Solid like label on this gambling machine.
No, they're not gambling machines.
Well, listen.
I didn't think it was
fucking gambling machines at the end of the day.
Fucking gambling machines. Anybody knows anything about pachinko? A lot of the pachinko parlors, you can trade in your balls for like these little like golden slips, which you then take next door and sell to the people there for real money. And generally, that store is owned by the people who own the pachinko parlor, and it's gambling.
It's totally gambling. Completely and utterly gambling.
Like if you went to Dave & Buster's and you took your Dave & Buster's tickets next door and got money for them or something.
Sounds awesome.
But I could get prizes that I could sell to other people?
Sure.
So Dave Buster's is gambling, right?
Yep. Kind of, yes. Alright, so Konami. They're not going to make console or PC games anymore. So what are we losing? What are we losing? We're losing Castlevania, Metal Gear, although they said that they're going to keep making Metal Gear. So, Are they just going to make that one game, and that's going to be like their console PC product? I mean, what else?
Yeah, they're making Metal Gear Solid 5, and then who knows what they're doing after that? They might get out of PC and console altogether at that point, and just maybe we'll see Metal Gear mobile games. Yay!
Yeah, but they said that they want to continue making Metal Gear games. I mean, I thought that was a specific thing that they said in one of these articles.
I mean, they've been saying a lot of stuff, and their CEO has just been going crazy, just doing his own thing, and I don't know. It just seems like Konami's just done. I mean, I wouldn't expect to see anything good come from them after Metal Gear Solid 5.
So we had joked about.
I don't think they can develop any more, epic sagas for the Metal Gear anymore. I mean, they might focus on something small and stupid like how Metal Gear Acid was. It was like a grid-based card system for the PSP. I mean, they may have small stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, because even if they say they're making a Metal Gear game, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the Metal Gear game, solid that you're expecting. You might get some shitty mobile game, right?
Like, the only thing they really can tackle in the storyline is maybe the original Big Boss from, World War II.
Well, have they made a Metal Gear game that ties into the first Metal Gear?
Yeah, that was the NES games.
Okay. Did they come, because there's prequels to that, right?
Yeah. The NES games were about what happened in Outer Heaven.
Okay.
With Big Boss, and then there's this long period in between that and Metal Gear 1 where he's kind of retired. Shit stirs up again, and he has to go back to Shadow Moses Island.
Okay. So they've gone full circle in that series.
Yeah, they've gone pretty much from Big Boss in the 60s onward into, I think 4 ended in 2015. In-game time? I don't remember the time in-game, though.
So as our resident Metal Gear fan, Seifer, if they stop making Metal Gear games after this one, are you satisfied with the way that it ended?
Yeah, I mean they've made a lot of games.
There's a shit ton of games.
10. That's not including the revisions, the different revisions for different consoles, like the GameCube Twin Snakes version.
Mm-hmm.
There's Substance for 3. There's DLC versions they add, costumes. I mean, they've done a lot of shit with Metal Gear.
They even did that weird one with Raiden, right?
From the NES. And Kojima did that, and that's what he's praised for. But I mean, there's really nothing left to tackle that has that huge epic story that their previous releases have been.
So just let the man retire.
World War II, because that's kind of a gray area that's not really explained too well. It's the origins of CQC with the original Big Boss, working with the SAS, stuff like that. It's kind of inferred from some of the lore, but
no actual game has tackled it.
They could do something about that, like if they went back in World War II and made a game that was based in that era. I could see that happening.
It's a damn shame because Konami was basically tying Kojima down. He didn't want to do more Metal Gear games, and they kind of forced him to because it was making money. So,
well, because you don't shoot the cash cow in the head, you keep milking it.
And it's nice that
they shot it in the head now.
Continued to put so much effort into games. I mean, Metal Gear 4 was hyped for so long and so hard, and when it finally came out, it answered the hype 100%. A lot of reviewers were giving it just straight 10s.
I remember that. It was like perfect game, and
one of the few games that delivers from hype. But he didn't slow down. He didn't go, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna ride this through and shit with EA." He continued to deliver consistently good games for the saga.
Be free, Kojima. Konami is no more.
Maybe not Metal Gear Acid. I'll say that.
Okay. Well, there's a bad apple in every bunch, right?
But even if they release stuff like that, I mean, I'm not gonna hate that kind of stuff. Like little mini game stuff for mobile. Because there really is nothing left. I mean, most games stop after 3.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, everything's a trilogy, or they try to make it a trilogy.
Final Fantasy doesn't give a fuck.
No, Final Fantasy doesn't give a fuck. Dynasty
think
Warriors doesn't give a fuck.
I don't think any Japanese.
They should just call it the never-ending story.
Street Fighter,
Just
Capcom
buy
doesn't give a
that
fuck.
IP. Just buy that IP. Call it never-ending story.
Yeah, speaking of that bunker that we're all going into living, right? By the time we come out, what will be there? We'll have Street Fighter 9 Turbo Super Edition, which will be like the 4th iteration of that game.
Final
We have
Fantasy 14 for the brains
Fallout
and
7.
5 edition. Beams the game directly into your head.
Anyway, okay, so let's move on. We have two more topics I want to get to. We've got a couple minutes left. Nice. So GTA 5 on the PC came out, and you were saying it was pretty awesome last time.
It's
What
pretty
happened?
awesome. I still think it's awesome.
You've
So-
apparently been banned? What?
Yeah, I got banned. So GTA
What?
5, yeah,
What did you do?
naughty things. So GTA 5 came out on the PC, and I don't know what Rockstar was thinking, but they pretty much had no client to server like data validation. So the game's online mode is pretty much wide open for memory editing on your local system, and then getting the data passed off to the server, and thus your account updated. So people were doing things like hacking their characters level, hacking in money. Some people took it to the extreme and were modifying like miniguns to shoot money at people, and a lot of these people
What?
have been banned. Yeah, so
Oprah gun.
yeah, so I played around with some of it just to see how vulnerable it was, and I got 2 weeks for my naughtiness. Some people have been permanently banned, but they seem to be somewhat indiscriminate. Like I said, the people who did nothing other than being on a multiplayer environment, a sandbox mode, with somebody with a modified gun and getting money shot at them, they've been banned. So there are people out there who've done massive hacking on their accounts, and they say they haven't been banned.
And remember, this is the game that made modding difficult because they want people
Right.
to cheat.
Yeah, no cheating. So that we're going to allow client-side memory editing. So anyway,
Dumbass idea.
last Friday here, the first wave of bans went out, and apparently a very large portion of the online population was banned for a minimum of 2 weeks, and some people have been permanently banned. It was kind of weird. There were I was in some sessions where I could see people running around in invulnerable mode doing bad things, and you just kind of get out of that session. But it was all for naught. My naughtiness got me 2 weeks.
Wow. I mean, that's
But
that's
some
shocking.
people were doing innocent things, like just, if they're playing on a widescreen instead of, like, Papa's got those ridiculously wide monitors, they need to increase their field of view for it to display properly. So some of them were editing the field of view, and apparently that's triggered bans for people because it's, some type of memory edit they have to do.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous shit because that game doesn't even have a slider in it.
And it
So not
does,
only-
but it's very narrow. It's like 55 to 65.
Yeah, you're talking like it was less than 80 degrees. The human eyes see like what's that, 130, 40, maybe a little more.
So overall, this is a good thing for GTA 5 Online. They've apparently got the bans out there. They've tightened up the validation of data between the client and the server. So a lot of these edits and hacks will no longer function. And I don't know. I'll let you know how it worked out in 2 weeks.
You could have just bought the PS4 version and not worry about any of that.
This
No.
doesn't change my opinion.
No.
It's still, the single player is extremely solid. The online, when it works, and there's still a lot of issues with that, is tremendous amount of fun when you get 30 people doing activities.
It still works on the PS4 just as well.
But
You don't have to worry about cheaters.
Yeah, but I can't play it at 1440p over 60 frames per second.
yeah, but if it's on one platform, there's cheaters. There's cheaters. I mean, I guess there's not cross-platform play on there, though, right?
Well, people found ways to cheat on the consoles. People found ways to dupe items, money, cars, vehicles, things of that nature.
Well,
Were
that's
cheating,
a
and
game
they've
glitch.
subsequently been banned.
I
Yeah,
mean-
but they're being banned for that too.
Isn't this just like? Isn't this part of the spirit of GTA 5?
This is the
Like,
spirit
cause
of
cause chaos?
gaming.
To create chaos in your game, right? I mean, come on.
Agreed.
They made money off chaos for years, and suddenly people are cheating in their game and they're going to ban them? That seems a little harsh, Rockstar.
Well, so apparently there are a lot of people who did like just level hacks didn't get banned. Apparently the flags were hacks that directly impacted other players' gameplay, and money hacks that allowed you to increase your character's online bank account, because there's a lot of speculation here, but Rockstar sells these shark cards, they call them, for real money, which injects fake money into your online account. So a lot of people are speculating that You broke their pay model, and now they're exacting revenge.
But you just said people are banned for FOV edits, so
They are, but sometimes they can't tell if what else is going on. But like I
Right.
said, a lot of people who just hacked their levels didn't get anything.
That's a real shame.
That's pretty ridiculous for just field of view edits.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty blanket here. We're just gonna ban people, like, straight up.
Yeah,
Really
There's
fair.
something irregular with your machine, banned.
Yeah, there's no reports of anybody who did a field of view hack that got anything more than a 2-week ban, so it doesn't look like that perma-banned anybody.
All right, let's go on to our last topic here in the news. So now I know AI over here. Actually, you still own an Ouya in a box. Is that correct? You never took it out.
no, I took it out.
You did?
I didn't
Okay.
buy anything on it.
Do you use it as like a coaster or like?
He retired
Paperweight.
his NVIDIA Shield.
Oh, good one. Okay, so
I was planning on doing some development for it, but I realized how shitty the software was.
you and everybody else. Now, what concerns me is one major thing, right? Ouya is still like a huge. I think they're still the record holder for a video game related thing that raised the most amount of money, other than obviously, or is it Star Citizen? I don't remember. But they raised
Well,
15 million. They are.
Hardware. So
Kickstarter.
if it's hardware, maybe
For hardware.
Kickstarter they are. Yeah, for a video game related thing. For total raise, Star Citizen has more.
Okay. Now, in 2013, with all the investors and Kickstarter and everything, they raised $15 million to create this little micro console for gaming that's going to plug into your TV. And, I watched this with a lot of excitement because I was like, you know what, I'm not into consoles necessarily, but, the trends are important. And I think a lot of people felt that, just seeing where this goes, because if this had hit big, there probably would have been 1 million copies of it or something like it. Obviously, we have phones that play games similar to these.
and the Shield.
And the Shield and other things that all seem to run Android and not do so well. But now it's 2015. The Ouya has kind of come and gone. I don't even know if it came really. It's been swept under the rug for the most part. And now they're looking for someone to rebuy them because they still feel like this thing has a chance in the market.
No, they're not looking for somebody to buy them for that reason. They're looking for somebody to basically buy them out of debt.
To buy them out of debt.
And keep in mind they've received another $15 million from investor, one specific investor. They've also received money, unknown amounts from other investors. And they've made lots of money from investment companies, and it's apparently they just lost it all somehow.
Yeah, where did all the money go? Like, how do you have $30 million and it disappears, Julie Ehrman? Like, where does that money go? Did you take like a $3 million paycheck last year, and that was it? I mean, isn't this a little suspect? Maybe I'm being suspicious because I'm being suspicious.
A tremendous amount of money pumped into this thing. In addition
Yes.
to the Kickstarter, they received $15 million in Series A funding, and then another $10 million from Alibaba, and then even more they're speculating from Triple Point, another investing firm. Yeah, I mean, it's probably not too far off to say this thing has had over $60 million invested into it.
And now they're looking for more money to pay the people they borrowed money from back.
So now they defaulted, and they're looking for somebody. They're basically looking to recover investment capital.
I don't get it.
And this thing can't
They're
even
dead.
work.
They're
I
going
mean,
under. They're
Yeah.
gone.
it doesn't even work. I mean, you play, the controller has massive input lag. I'm talking like seconds, not milliseconds. So it's not even like you can't even play Android games on it. I mean, you might as well just buy an Android and play it on there. I mean, it's not helping you. It's not, the touchpad is useless. The controller has massive input lag, like I said, and it's just they got rid of a lot of the emulation it could do. It wasn't even able to emulate like a PlayStation or something, or even Dreamcast. I think it had issues with.
Now,
So
there's a lot of major problems.
no point in buying the system.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like what you can do with this thing while sitting on your couch with a controller is not something that those same app developers, of which they say there's 40,000 developers for them, right? Maybe over the years, that you can't just port that shit to your phone and have it to be mobile. I mean, this is not exactly a powerful console here. But my question is, out of all, there's a lot of bad things you could say about the Ouya. Where exactly did they go wrong?
I just
Infrastructure?
it just had no market.
No market.
I don't think it was no market. I mean,
There couldn't have been.
There. No, well, there's all these companies are trying to do the same thing the Ouya is doing, but they're going to do it better. I mean, even you could technically even say the Fire TV can do the same thing as an Ouya, the Apple TV, all those smart TVs. But I don't know. The one thing they did right was being the first to basically do it on the market.
So
major, they had the console on target and everything.
So they took the fall to pave the way for everyone else that's come before them.
Yeah, but the hardware was shit. The software was shit. Doesn't have any like features that you would see on a gaming console. I mean, it should have been a gaming. It should have been a console for developers and gamers. That's what it should have been billed as. It was. I don't know what they did. I mean, they were trying to make it the whole multimedia thing like Xbox.
So that's where they fucked up. They didn't keep it as a video game console like they said.
Even if they did, it just wasn't good hardware. I mean, it wasn't.
It's just
a good console. Period. That's it.
And they've been massively leapfrogged by newer products that do the same thing. Like Nvidia's newest Shield just absolutely trumps this thing basically in every way.
It's just a real damn shame because there seemed like a really passionate group of people behind this, especially the creator and original developer, Julie Ehrman. And I'm looking at their Kickstarter page now, and it's clean, like the Ouya was touted to be. And it had, just to kind of add perspective to this, because we haven't talked about it since 2013, 63,416 backers pledged $8,596,474 to bring this project to life. Almost $8.6 million. Like, people wanted this thing. People wanted this thing, and then they got it, and they were like, we probably don't want this thing.
Meh.
I don't know. Rest in peace, Ouya.
Yep.
Fucking shame that, this didn't work out.
Do they really have any value? I mean, do they hold any, valuable patents or anything? I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. They weren't in bed with any big developers that I know of. It was probably mostly indie bullshit. I mean, Square Enix released Final Fantasy III on it.
They actually kind of messed up their. They had some Japanese developers that were backing them, and they kind of fucked that one up too. Square Enix isn't going to put any more games on the Ouya.
Yeah, that ain't happening. They're releasing all their games on Steam now.
There was an article on that too, how they screwed that up.
It must have been something like we met, or because we didn't really cover this last year. We covered it when it was up and coming, and it was still on Kickstarter basically. And I think when it released, we announced it because it was like people. It was being sold in Target. There was some issues getting the units to people. There was an issue with the original controller pad. A couple stupid things like that. Well, either way, it's over and done with now. If we hear anything else about the Ouya, we're just gonna ignore it.
Yep.
But if you own an Ouya, congratulations. You now own a piece of shit of history. Let's move on to announcements and debuts. So, Naughties, why don't you take us into this one?
This was kind of a fun one. So, apparently, Sega, who we've been railing against pretty hard the last months here for some mistakes they've been making, has teamed up with Creative Assembly and Games Workshop to bring the Warhammer universe to the Total War franchise. So we are going to be getting Total War Warhammer. Why they didn't just call it Total Warhammer, I do not know.
That would have been clever.
Non-gameplay, just a pre-rendered video that was actually pretty entertaining to watch. I don't know. I like the Total War series. It's definitely one of those games that you do not buy when it is initially released. You let it grow and mature for 6 months and get patched to a working state because they hardly ever work when they come out. But I think a lot of Warhammer fans are pretty excited about this one, and if done properly, it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the video was cool. It was, it's a shame that it was pre-rendered. Would have liked to see something. Right? You always want to see some kind of gameplay, but these announcement trailers are always these cinematic things.
Wasted money.
Waste of money. Everyone does this bullshit.
You'll probably see it as a intro video or something for the game, I'm sure.
You probably will.
Just a waste of money.
Recycle the
I don't
assets.
think people would get the reference right away. If they were trying to, I don't think people would get that reference right away that it's from Warhammer Game Workshop.
But again,
Total War.
they have a certain they're merging like two audiences, right? The Total War people and then the Warhammer people.
Correct.
I guess so. There's going to be some, like what kind of stuff. Okay, well this is interesting. We'll watch this. This looks like a cool game, and hey, it's Sega. Maybe they'll turn themselves around somehow.
We'll see. Like I said, with Creative Assembly, they have no credit with me. Cash on delivery.
So one of the developers that we've always talked about is Telltale, right? We've already mentioned them today, but we talked about them a lot last year. They were my developer of the year. They are now teaming up with Marvel to create a Marvel game in 2017, and this one's been covered by a lot of the big news outlets like Nerdist and such. So Telltale's putting their hand in yet another IP that they're going to be working on in perpetuity.
Yeah, they got a lot of balls in there, don't they?
They really do.
Oh man, what are you doing?
They really do. Okay, so let's talk about current projects. They are working on, presumably, The Walking Dead Season 3, Wolf Among Us Season 2. They're still working on the first season of Borderlands.
I think there was no guarantee on the Wolf Among Us too.
There's no guarantee,
The other
but
ones are all guaranteed.
but if you play the game, it is a huge cliffhanger. And so
Yeah, but they don't necessarily. They could end it on the cliffhanger, and it's kind of a whole mystery of the game, right?
they could. I mean, it is a detective mystery. It's their mystery series. What else do they have? They have Game of Thrones going on right now. They're working on the Minecraft story mode, right? And then there's that mystery original IP. And now Marvel. So now that's like, what, 7 projects? I think I ran out of fingers. 7 projects? That's a lot of shit for Telltale to be working on.
You used to work in a sawmill or something? How'd you...
Well,
Well, we know that-
my other 3 fingers are like holding a mouse, so I just feel like it's a lot of stuff to be working on.
They need to. I mean, they're just pumping it out for the damn freaking engine that's terrible and outdated and needs to be updated.
Yeah.
Do you think a big company like
Not
Marvel
Telltale.
would get to when they make this deal, or maybe even for the original IP, that they're going to put some pressure on them to update their game, or they wouldn't really have a say in that? Like, what do you guys think?
I think Marvel's pretty smart about their IP, and they'll just let Telltale be Telltale.
Okay.
I think I'm going to probably buy every single Telltale game that comes out of it when the full season's released anyway. Even though I complain about them needing to update their engine, which they really do.
Because your games are still good despite them being an old engine.
Yeah.
You don't play Shovel Knight because you're like, oh, it looks like Mega Man.
Right.
Yeah.
The games are always entertaining. They're always well written. The stories are engaging. I don't know though. You never know. They might dilute their product here with too many products.
True that. They're going to saturate their own market.
So many good resources to go around.
Saturate their own damn market. Okay. Also, a game that was announced this past week. Let's see the date on this one. Was the new Mad Max? It's a Mad Max game. I don't know who that's coming from. I don't remember the developer. But this one actually is a gameplay trailer. So suck it, Sega. But this
Looks really,
looks
really good. I mean,
yeah, it looks good. It looks pretty damn
like
brutal.
It looks like GTA, with more like vehicular combat, and it's set in the Mad Max universe, like a Borderlands feel to it.
And it's being published by Warner
pretty
Brothers.
Awesome. I mean, I'm surprised because I was not expecting anything from this game, and now I'm like, okay, well, this is probably worth a purchase.
You think so? I mean, I think a lot of people are wary of cash grab movie games, and this is kind of what this is, right? But hey, it could be good.
Have you seen the trailer? It looks pretty good.
It
But then
does.
again, it's a trailer, so I would personally, I'm gonna wait on the gameplay until I actually see people playing this one. But,
Okay.
But I mean, it does look good. It got my interest. So
Yeah, it looks like the Dishonored Tomb Raider kind of engine type stuff, with the radial wheel and the personal upgrades and stuff. Like, action adventure, action combat.
yeah, it has like the Batman style, Shadows of Mordor style combat
Yes.
system.
Hmm. So it's an interesting blend with vehicular combat.
Yeah, I think that's kind of their hook in this entire thing.
Yeah.
guys mentioned a lot of games that we enjoyed, but they're all kind of being mashed up here, and I don't know. That doesn't really pique my interest. The vehicles could add something to it, though. I guess we'll keep an eye on it.
All right. So now the big news that crossed our paths very recently this week. Apparently, the ex-Rare devs are releasing a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie called Yooka-Laylee. AI, you expressed some interest in this. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, I backed it for $15.
Nice, good.
I'm pretty. I mean, it looks good. This is rare, and this is the rare from back like Banjo-Kazooie days, not the Kinect Sports rare. Although they do have Kinect Sports on there. Developers who did that, but yeah, I mean, they got the lead for the person who made the Donkey Kong characters. You got
You got the guy who did the music.
yeah, they got the guy who did the music.
Lots of xylophone. I've listened to some of their samples.
The music is great.
Brings back so many memories. But yeah, it's basically the original Rare LTD staff from Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, they got the lead programmer on there. So this is probably going to be really good. And it was the fastest Kickstarter to ever hit $1 million for video games.
That's impressive.
And it's just been going up.
Did it in like
insane.
2 or 3 days. This thing's only been up for like, I think since the beginning of May, I want to say.
Well, we're only on May 3rd.
Days to go, and it's at almost 2 million right now. That's pretty good.
My only gripe is that they're going a little crazy with the. There's too many stretch goals.
Stretch goals.
Hit way too fast. So that could really add to development time, or even mess up the development entirely. But yeah, they're doing that. I wish they had some. They're adding all this local multiplayer, but I think local multiplayer is pretty much dead at this point. So they should really get some online multiplayer in.
Yeah, and just so you're aware, just to clarify, this went up May 1st, 2 days ago, and it was funded in 40 minutes.
Which is still close to $200-some thousand. It's £175,000.
Yes.
So I'm no currency conversion expert, but you have 40 minutes to reach 225 grand.
$270,041.
Holy shit! Sucks.
Yeah.
And right now it's at 1,273,555. So
No,
I'm showing it close
in
to
euros, that's
almost 2 million.
Yeah, it's almost 2 million. So
It's 1.965 million right now.
and it has 43 days to go in the campaign.
Crazy,
No
man.
signs of it slowing too
I
much.
think they're going to be okay.
They're going to be just fine.
I will be backing it, particularly if they come out with the 64-bit thing. Apparently they were releasing it so you'd get like a physical... You get like a physical box that was like the N64 box with an actual N64 cartridge that had a built-in 64 gig flash drive. Obviously, you can't play the game on the N64, but it's still an N64 cartridge.
No, that's expensive at the back though.
It is, but you pay for some collector's items.
You're such a Nintendo fanboy.
You are. My favorite part about it is that the console edition is a $23 pledge, US dollars, and the Steam edition is a $15 pledge. So, like, $8 difference for those like licensing fees and shit that they have to go through.
I'm really happy that they're bringing it to all consoles and not just the Wii. And they're bringing it to PC.
Yeah, it's coming to PC. So you can get that game for $15 on PC.
The good bet.
Yeah. Looks very cool, very sharp. You know what was great about this is there was a lot of gameplay video in the debut video. There was a lot of gameplay. They showed you the proof of concept. They have it. This is what we're doing. Back us. And people were like, fuck yeah, we want that thing with the green guy and the little bat dude. Here's money.
Well, yeah, they've been self-funding it. They weren't even sure they were going to do a Kickstarter. But of course, Kickstarter's a great way to not just get funded, but also market your game. I mean,
Yeah. And,
I think it's a good thing that they did that Kickstarter.
if the Ouya wasn't such an outlier, I'd say things like Kickstarter is a great way to show like what people really want. But it's not, unfortunately. But this is good. This looks like it's going to be a solid fucking game when it hits in 2016. It's October 2016-ish, so we've got about 18 months before we see this game. But yeah, look forward to it.
Isn't too bad considering,
No, not too bad.
The development cycle is actually pretty nice, and considering they said they're looking to get only 15 to 20 guys, so like old school type of development.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to throw it out here
scale.
now. Metacritic score of 95.
That's good. I'm going to go with 98, and it's going to surpass Super Mario Galaxies 2 for the best all-time Metacritic game. Okay, so the last announcement debut on the list here. My fiance brought this one up to me today. Was not aware of this. The Dragon Age Inquisition DLC for coming up for May is actually free. There's going to be 2 DLCs. The first one is going to allow you to give you this thing called the Mirror of Transformation in your Skyhold. It's basically going to allow you to go through the character creator again and change your character's look, not their base class or anything like that, which is kind of unfortunate. Because there's no way to actually respec in that game that I'm aware of yet. You're also going to get 2 new thrones for Skyhold. One of the furnishings in your castle was the throne, and you're going to get 1 for each of the previous Dragon Age games if you've played them. So if you have the game on Origin and you own all 3, that would be obviously the best way to get them, because not all games are available on Steam. Dragon Age 2, I believe, is not available on Steam. But if you played Origins and you played Dragon Age 2, you get a throne for each. Then there's a second DLC that's going to give you some new additions to multiplayer. It's actually going to let you summon dragons and fight dragons in multiplayer, which is interesting. And there's also going to be a new castle in the Ferelden region, and it's going to give you 3 new agents to acquire. So that means new war table stuff and crap like that. So if you're still playing Dragon Age Inquisition, EA is giving you DLC for free. That's right. I use the word EA and the word free in the same sentence without also using the words Origin and On the House.
What is coming? Something bad is coming.
Something bad is coming. This is the calm before the storm.
Winter is coming. That's what that shit is.
I'm just saying.
It's a trap.
I was shocked too, but okay, so that's happening. So and it's available this Tuesday, May 5th. So yeah, there you go. If you own it on Origin, which you most likely do if you play it on PC because you have to, there you go. You're getting free DLC. And the consoles are also getting the DLC, but they're getting it... the Tacticians Renewal was the last DLC. It was the paid one. Relly in the chat mentions you can respec with Tacticians Renewal DLC, which was the last one, which is actually coming to consoles the end of this month, I believe, the 26th, because they don't have it yet. So they're getting it. I think that's right. We'll double check, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Okay. May 26th. No, actually, May 26th they'll get the Jaws of Hack on DC on PS4, PS3, Xbox. Anyway, let's move on. Let's do some MMO news shorts here. We get about 5 minutes to deal with this. So if you are subscribed or registered on the Crowfall forums, they sent out a big ass email telling us that there was an update to the game. May or AI, what did you read about this? Did you see this?
A little bit. It was mostly stuff with the what do they call it? The something kingdom.
Something
kingdom stuff.
Oh, nothing to write home about.
Yeah, it says. I mean, I would check it out. Check out either the Kickstarter or, like you said, the homepage.
Yeah, I see this. Yeah,
Watch the videos.
There's a couple videos.
It's a pretty short video, and they show some of the systems. And if you're excited for the game, you definitely want to look at it.
Okay. And Terra's coming to Steam, right?
Indeed, in celebration of the new Gunner class, apparently.
So there's a new Gunner class. Great.
There is, and you'll be able to get your game off of Steam now. So, yep.
It's kind of weird that Steam hosts MMOs games, isn't it? Am I the only one who finds it odd?
Well, no, because they do host MMOs, especially free-to-plays, because part of their agreement is they allow for the purchase of the in-game items using your Steam wallet, which means Valve gets a cut.
I see. All right.
Only someone from Terra was here to talk about it.
If only.
I'm
Only.
dying to know what the new Gunner class is and why we should be excited.
There's probably a debut video on YouTube or something. Obviously, none of us watched it because we don't care.
I could take a guess and say it has a gun and it shoots it. Probably at monsters.
That's exclusive IGC reveal. You have a gun. With bullets. All right, let's just move on.
Not Nerf darts.
We love MMOs. We all play them, but they're not the most interesting things to talk about. Okay, so stuff that just released. So Cipher Did you know that Kerbal Space Program officially released this month?
I heard through the grapevines, yes.
Okay. Now you've been playing this game in early access for like a year and a half, right?
Yeah,
I think it's
easily.
Fucking forever.
I think I got him onto it like a year and
He
a
got,
half ago or
yeah.
something.
Nadius was like, hey, why don't you try this game? You like space stuff.
Yeah,
Alright.
I think my selling line was, hey, you want to shoot like Muppets up into space? You should come play this game.
Let me just spend 1,600 hours of my life on it.
Well, yeah, but back then, I think I paid $12 for it when it was, just a dream at that point, and then I think it went up to 15. Now
Yeah,
it's
I think they
out
started
in
2011. I think they came on to Steam a year later, about, and it was like $21 for the longest time.
Yeah.
It was like $12 not that long ago,
well
actually.
worth the money.
Like
Well worth
February.
the money.
This is an excellent game to highlight a couple of things about the way Steam does the thing, the whole early access thing, because there's a lot of debate behind do you support a game in early access, do you not support a game in early access, is early access considered a release, is it not, is it a beta test, is it a paid beta test, etc. KSP seemed to have done everything the right way. They had a good early access program. They reduced the cost of the game rather than trying to get you to pay out the ass for it, like Planetary Annihilation. They had Steam Workshop built into it, right? There's mods for this game, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, there are many mods for this game.
And
They didn't have a cash shop.
They didn't have a
during
cash
the
shop.
alpha.
and they had a quiet
Heroes
release,
of Storm.
a huge following, and now they're selling it for 25% off for $29.99, which is probably still well worth the price. This game did everything right. It seems.
It's gonna turn into one of those games like Terra. Everyone's gonna have it. I mean, they may not play it, but everyone will just have it in their library.
It's gonna be
Steam
like the
sale,
shit.
it'll be like $10, $5.
People will collect copies of it in their wallet.
People try to
Apparently
play
does
it.
the most.
They'll crash something, or they won't have intake for a jet, and won't get off the ground. They'll get pissed. They'll come back to it a few months later.
I was like just so surprised because I got like an email or something from either Steam or someplace else, and it was like KSP's releasing, and I'm like, oh, okay.
The nice thing is too is that they take a lot of the ideas from the modders. Like the modders will, they'll support things for years, and they'll see what works, what doesn't work. Like their release, they completely revamped aerodynamic effects and like thermal friction heating. How heating works with items. It's energy flux based now. It's not just a flat temperature. Things permeate through different parts. They saturate, and then it goes to the next part. They added heat shields. I mean, the whole re-entry effect is no longer just an aesthetic. They have the ablation type of heating shield where you can only have so much until the material completely just comes off of the heat shield and you get fucked in space.
So they made
Burn
some
up.
improvements. That's all I
they
hear.
added Bearings. I mean, there were mods that did this stuff, but now it's officially supported.
That's always good
It's
to
really
see.
nice. It's really nice to see it.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
This is their. I gotta say, this is probably their biggest patch, and those two things are just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, they added a lot of rocket boosters. They revamped the cockpit, IVAs, the internals.
Did they add a story
It's
mode?
Really, really nice.
Multiplayer? Did they add anything?
They had a campaign mode where you kind of start from nothing, and you have to do contracts. They give you contracts through like a little quest giver, like go into space at a semi-orbit and use this part or decouple this part. Collect scientific data at this part, and the more scientific data you get, and the more contracts you do, you can unlock things in the R&D department that you have, and you slowly build up what you can use. Stuff costs money; you earn money. So it is what it says it is. It is a space program that you're managing.
I would hope so.
Yeah, you mentioned multiplayer. It's probably unlikely you'll ever get like a true like synchronous multiplayer. There are mods out there for like async multiplayer, but the main issue with the game is you're simulating distances in space, and space is very large. So the game uses time acceleration for a lot of stuff, and you can't really have one person going at 1,000 times time all persons at one. So
I gotcha. Yeah, interesting. We can't recreate time dilation.
It's a goal of theirs, but they're just not quite sure how they're going to implement it. The strongest method so far is like have a master time controller, and when they say, okay, I'm going to accelerate time, everybody better be ready for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for KSP. Really happy to see that. So, Naughties, why don't you tell us about X-Wing and TIE Fighter?
Yeah, so Disney Interactive has decided to re-release the X-Wing and TIE Fighter series on a few sources. You can now get X-Wing and TIE Fighter on Steam. However, Good Old Games has pretty much every version. Like, you get the original, like, DOS version. You get the definitive, like, collector's CD edition, which was 1994, and then they've got, like, the 1998 Windows version. So, if you never played X-Wing and TIE Fighter in their series, and you want to, I would go get the Good Old Games version. If you're rebuying them to add to your collection, I still say get the Good Old Games version.
You heard it here. So a couple of the games that were just released, I don't know if you guys want to talk about any of these. Magica Wizard Wars, Dungeons 2, and Verdun.
Yeah, I want to play Wizard Wars. I haven't gotten around to it yet. It's not a sequel to Magica or anything, but it's more of like a multiplayer arena kind of deal. And whereas original Magica was story-based, and part of the entertainment there was going through the story with 3 other friends and blowing each other up along the way.
That's right. You blow people up.
Is it just a standalone PvP or what?
This one, Magical Wizard Wars, is actually like team-based. I think you have like 4 people on a team, and you square off against other teams. It looks a lot of fun. Maybe we'll talk about it a little more if some of us can get to play it this week. Since I'm banned from GTA, it might be a good option.
Yeah.
Play the MOBA.
This might be Nadia's playing a MOBA. We'll see.
Alrighty.
Really impressive if I started playing a MOBA.
And then real quick, Dungeons 2, being very well received. Everyone's saying it's a real good successor to the original like Dungeon Master series. The first one kind of, was just a flash in the pan, but this one's apparently very good. And
yeah.
Is a first-person shooter set in World War I, so no real automatic weapons except for fixed-placed machine guns and bolt-action rifles. I've seen people play it. Not my cup of tea, but I don't know. Anybody out there who likes bolt-action rifles, this may be the first-person shooter for you.
Yeah. We're coming back around full circle. We need to we need to slow down FPS games a little bit. Okay, so our second to last segment here, upcoming games. So AI, why don't you take us what's coming out between May 4th, tomorrow, and May 17th, the day before the next podcast?
Well, speaking of first-person shooters, and this is definitely not a slowed-down first-person shooter, there's Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, which is a standalone expansion for Wolfenstein. It's only, I think it's $20, right?
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of people were saying that this could have been like a DLC if they wanted it to be. Like, it didn't have to be its own thing, but it is its own thing, apparently.
Yeah, they made its own thing, and it's it's definitely going to be like an expansion would be for, back in the days when we didn't have DLC, we had these things called expansions, and I don't want to get into it too much. But
that's right.
They were like an entire game, and it was like, but it was based on the old game.
I know. There was one called like Shivering Isles once.
There was all these new features added, and entirely new campaigns and maps and everything. It wasn't just 2 hours of DLC.
Yes, back in the day.
That's what Wolfenstein: The Old Blood will probably be.
Yeah, they probably added something like 10 or 15 hours of new content to the game too, I bet.
Let's see if they can take the title
something like
from,
that.
Blood Dragon as the best standalone DLC for FPS.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Next.
It's coming out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One May 5th.
Alrighty, what else?
Also coming out May 5th, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker. That title is not long enough.
Why?
Sweet.
It's a JRPG. Wonderful.
It's a JRPG. I think it's a dungeon crawler type game.
Oh.
I don't know. Would maybe Papa's played this? It's a Nintendo game.
Which one?
Don't disappoint me.
Yami series. It's
No.
based
Don't
on
disappoint me,
Persona,
Papa.
right?
Dude, I haven't been around for the past like 3 weeks. What the fuck, man? I haven't even really gotten far into Xenoblade, and I was supposed to buy, which I did, and play it, but that part I didn't do.
Anyway,
Apologize, I suck.
I think you like Mixed Monsters, kind of like Persona. It's also by Atlas, I believe, and it's coming out May 5th for 3DS.
As it would.
May 7th, we have Euro Truck 2 Simulator DLC, Scandinavia. I think Naudius would want to talk more about this, maybe?
Yeah, it's really more of an expansion. So, kind of as their ongoing development for the game, they unlock more areas of Europe. Going east was, the last one, so you got a lot of the Eastern European countries. So now we're heading up north into Scandinavia.
In your truck.
Looks kind of
Day one DLC, the turnabout.
It's kind of pricey for a DLC, though.
What is it going for?
18 euros.
Is that like $30, $25?
25?
$25?
Why is this game a thing?
This game has a huge following.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't know why.
It's not really competitive in any way. You're never being rushed to complete anything. It's just very low stress, kind of a relaxing kind of game. It has
That sounds awful.
A multiplayer mod with you play on these large persistent servers with hundreds of people on them. It's just entertaining.
What level of hell did this rise from?
The one where people love driving trucks simulator.
It's got a
Europe.
a business simulation into it also, where you're building a company and equipping it, and there's just a lot going to it other than just driving a truck around.
So it's basically like work.
Yeah.
Work the game, okay.
Yes. So I'm sure this is hugely popular among, actual truck drivers.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
They're probably on the road not playing this.
But if there was a mobile version, they'd play it.
We got
I see big name streamers stream this game, and they have 80k people watching them at some point.
I do
And
not
I just sit there
understand.
with my mouth open,
So
Why?
We in the Shack News before GTA 5 came out, we would every Thursday night, or was it Friday? I think it was Friday. Every Friday we would roll a convoy, and the convoy would be 20 people, and going from one side of the continent to the other, and alcohol was always involved, and just hilarity ensues. You just have to experience it, I suppose. You keep an open mind. The game is kind of sandbox-ish. You make your own fun.
I don't know, I'll pass.
Yeah, just move on.
We got 2 more games coming out May 12th. Both look pretty interesting. Torin, which is an action platform puzzler, got kind of like that artsy indie feel. You're looking for something until Ryan comes out for PS4. Check it out.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. It's a cool art style. Yeah, it looks alright.
Coming out for PC and PS4 May 12th. And Project Cars also coming out May 12th. It's a racing game.
I'm actually interested in this.
Seifer was talking this one out.
I wanted to try it out when it was slated to release in April. And they pushed it back a month or so. But
So-
I'm really not a fan of racing games, but I'll play GTA. Or
You don't
not
have
GTA,
your
GTA
racing
5.
wheel set up, man? 3
Nah.
monitors and gas pedals and shit.
Realistic racing, though, is pretty fun. Even if you're doing it on a controller.
People who have been playing the beta and everything for this game definitely seems to be definitely on the level of GTA, or not GTA, Gran Turismo.
That's better. I would hope so.
I'm pretty sure
It's not
it
Drive
goes
Club, so-
it goes a bit beyond that, but
I mean, this is the PC's answer to the modern day racing sim with those kinds of games, right? Like Forza and GT and stuff. Right? Is that the whole point here, for PC gamers to have this kind of thing?
Mhm.
Yeah, this one's pretty much on the level of a Assetto Corsa.
Right.
very much simulation based, not action.
Yeah, this is like the DCS of cars.
Right.
Okay.
If
So-
you play this game, you probably are going to want the wheel and the gas pedals and the shift selector.
Yeah.
But it's also coming out on consoles too.
That's right.
So you could find it on PC, Wii U, Xbox One, and PS4.
Such a weird thing to put on Wii U, but all right. Okay.
You got the Wii
On
wheel.
PS3 and Xbox 360 because it's
Use
about
the little
level
wheel
of
thing.
Wii U.
So those are the major releases that we think people listening to our show would probably want to know about coming up. So, yeah. So, the final segment, guys. So, what have we been playing? Papa, you haven't been around, right? So, you haven't been playing a whole lot. Or have you?
Smash Brothers every now and then to try out Mewtwo. He sucks, by the way.
Mm.
And just started Xenoblade, but nothing real conclusive on that. Try in 2 weeks to do better.
Wait, does
Are you playing
Mewtwo
on the Wii?
suck, or do you just suck with him?
No, he actually sucks. He
Okay.
yeah, legitimately.
Smash Brothers was never good at balancing.
He's like D tier.
He get a mid to strong B tier, maybe. But you just have two moves that do no damage and are very hard to land for his controlling purposes. But he can combo pretty well. Problem is, comboing without, getting your shit kicked in, because you have to get really close.
Well, that's a damn shame. Seifer, what have you been up to? What are you streaming?
I've been engulfed in Final Fantasy 14 again. I'm playing this a lot, trying to catch up, get everything set, prepped for 3.0 release when that comes out in June. I'm very excited for that.
I'm actually glad that you're playing, because I've kind of been, taking a backseat in that game to do other stuff. So, I think people like to have you around and stuff.
I noticed. No one's on.
Yes, no.
Came
No
back,
one's on.
everybody died.
Because all the endgame players are like, well, we finished what we had to do. We're just kind of in farm mode a couple nights a week, and that's
I like
it.
having stuff to do that you can just do by yourself if you'd like. The Duty Finder seems a lot better than what it used to be. There's a lot more options.
That's surprising to hear, but okay.
Dealing with other people isn't as bad.
And Seifer, you stream a lot, so where can people actually see your stream?
On Twitch, Gainwin. Two separate words that are one for some reason.
That's good.
And stream all times a day, pretty much. Sometimes in the morning, I'll stream pretty much the most random game. Other than sports games, play pretty much everything else.
There's probably even a link to it on the IGC webpage.
There certainly is. Certainly
You
is.
should play Weibo games and play them with me.
Yes.
And May can tell you about that when the stream page when you tell us what you've been doing, May. As I call you, AI Monster, May, whatever. You play video games sometimes, right?
Melee.
Yes, I do play video games occasionally.
What do you do?
What have I been doing? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, I platinum Bloodborne finally, so that's over. Until the DLC comes out.
I was
I don't have to be frustrated anymore. I don't have to want to throw my controller at the screen.
I was clapping, but I couldn't hold the push to talk button down and clap at the same time. I just wanted you to know that, though. Go on.
Of course, I'm playing Tabletop Simulator. We all are.
We are.
And I'm playing some more Sunrun Kagura Civil Versus.
Hooray. And where can we watch you play these games? Say hi.
If you really want to watch me play those games, you can watch me at Hitbox. It's www.hitbox.tv/AI Monster.
All right.
A streaming service that doesn't mute you for having licensed music in your game.
That's correct.
Or showing a little bit of jiggly boobies.
Yeah, why would you ever ban that? I don't understand.
Which banned everyone who played it at one point, saying it was an adult visual novel. We don't allow
I think it's
that.
probably a news story for next week.
Even though it's not an adult.
Maybe it is.
I'll get them a little more details on it.
So, Naughtius, what have you been up to?
Well, I was playing GTA 5 up until Friday night. And then,
Wah wah.
things happened. Outside of that, Tabletop Simulator, of course, we've been hitting that up a couple nights a week now, mostly to evaluate tabletop games for the Saturday play session. We're still hoping to add a midweek session here. And then I fired up TIE Fighter again. That's TIE Fighter, not THAI. We're not out there fighting people from Taiwan.
I'm so glad. So glad you you pointed that out.
There is some confusion sometimes.
And do you stream? Can we watch you anywhere?
I have not been streaming lately. The NVIDIA streamer service actually fiddles things up pretty badly, I found. So I have to switch over to OBS again if I want to be streaming. I am set up. I'm actually on Twitch TV, and that is Naudius. And then according to May, I really should be transferring over to Hitbox. So I think I'm going to get set up there too, and I'll let you know about it.
All right. We have a new stream page at our website at impact-gaming.us/streams. So we have a Twitch, our Twitchers on there, as well as our Hitboxers on there at the bottom. So, if we're playing something, we're on there. We also have a new stream team up and coming as well, being headed up by Mr. Defiant Daniel. So there are some interesting things happening in IGC as far as streaming goes and exposure. So those are all good things. So what have I been doing? I've been involved in the tabletop simulator thing too. I have to say that the epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards game that we played last night was a hell of a lot of fun. Yes, it was a hell of a lot of fun. Actually, what's interesting is Co-optional Lounge did this one this week as well. I don't know if you follow their stuff. But they did it as well. I didn't watch their video yet. It's pretty long. But I saw ours. It's on our website. Unfortunately, I didn't get the sound captured for some reason. But I got the version from Emmy Mori, who is one of our guest tabletoppers yesterday, who's also going to be jumping onto our stream team pretty soon, hopefully. And I added her link for her stream, her Twitch channel thing as well.
I was going to say, Thaner had it streaming too.
Yes, so we got it. We got the Valiant, we got the stuff on her end as well, so go watch that on her channel. Give us some subs. I've also been playing, I'm still playing Divinity Original Sin. I'm now level 19. I am getting towards the end of the game, I think. I'm going towards like a temple
Got your homestead all tricked out?
Yeah, all that stuff's good. I've respect like 3-4 times each of my main characters. The worst part is like tracking down all those skill books.
Yeah, you want to do that before you respec.
I have been. I've been going around and just, reloading the game and trying to get the vendors to pop the books, but I've managed everything except one skill book from one of my respecs, so I'm good. It's not really an important spell. It's been a lot of fun to play that game. I'm really, really trying to get into Pillars of Eternity before Witcher hits, but at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. My birthday's tomorrow, so there's a lot of dinners going on, a lot of just stuff I have to take care of the website. We've been setting up this new stream thing, so a lot of that's been taking up my playtime. So I've really only been playing Divinity and doing some occasional Final Fantasy XIV stuff as well with Neutral Impact. Haven't run across Seifer. I guess we don't play at the same times very much, but we have been doing our typical pony farming, which is like a mount farm on the primals there. We've been doing that yesterday. We got halfway done with one. So hopefully we're moving on up to next week. And I stream all this shit at random times. Saturdays at 3 p.m. Is our farming parties. Weeknights, usually Tuesdays, Thursdays or Wednesday, and Saturday and Sunday nights doing MMO stuff on 14. I've also been streaming. I haven't gotten in my Game of Thrones series yet. I have to finish that up. One more episode to go. But all this is on twitch.tv/GreatJerolden, which is also where the podcast is now being simultaneously transmitted as well, or simulcast, whatever the fuck that word is. So we will be doing that pretty regularly, and we'll get them on our YouTube channel, and we'll tweet it out and all that other bullshit. So that's the end of the show, unless anybody has anything they want to add that they might have forgotten. Anything, gentlemen?
I want to add that I'm mad that now I can't. Now that you got somebody else who streamed it, you can't add our own sound effects that you missed. Overlay our own sound effects.
What do you mean?
I mean, we could just, act out the sound in the game.
Act out the sound in which game?
Tabletop simulator.
Oh, and the tabletop simulator, like going back and doing narration over
The
it.
card shuffling sound, like the dice rolling.
Huh? Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
You can go through the video, you have access to it, and put narration over it if you so choose. That is your project if you want to do it. But anyway, that's the end of episode 37 of the podcast. We do bi-weekly, so we will see you in 2 weeks. That's on Sunday, May 17th at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will be in our TeamSpeak channel recording it, and we will be streaming it on Twitch now going forward. So you can follow us on Twitter at impact_gamingcm to know when we go live with that, and also when my stream goes live. On Facebook and Impact Gaming Videos, where we're now cross-posting and liking all our articles. YouTube and Impact Gaming Videos, where you can see all the tabletop simulator stuff, all the Let's Plays going on. I think AI, you should start getting your stuff like cross-posted on there too. Would be great for exposure. And of course, we're on iTunes, where you'll be able to listen to this podcast tomorrow on your handheld device. You can search for us by typing in IGC Podcast. You can subscribe to us, leave us a review. And of course, you can always find us on our website at www.impact-gaming.us. Send us questions to the podcast email, which is podcast@impact-gaming.us. And for everyone here at the IGC Podcast, I want to thank Naughtius and AI and Papa and Seifer for coming along, and for Night Striker and Relly for being part of our audience. These are IGCers that are helping support us here. And anyone on Twitch, we have 3 viewers on Twitch. I know one of them is Judge, so I don't know who the other 2 are. They just opened it up, so it's good. We got some listeners.
They could be.
I wonder who they could be. So we'll see you next time again, Sunday, May 17th. Until then, game on. Have a good one, guys.